How's it going, everyone? It's your favorite apostates. I'm McKay.
I'm Jordan.
And we're back for another iteration of the Ballerina Farms video series, I guess you could call it, kind of analysis. Unfortunately, the last time that we made a video, there was already a response while it was premiering. So we wanted to give it a little time and collect our thoughts and see kind of what people were talking about online before we came back and we kind of wrapped everything up with a nice little bow.
We even waited a while after the article came out to do this article. And I'm not going to say she knows who we are or even would give a shit, but it did make me irritated when I'm literally in the middle of the premiere for this past video and she releases the video. People in the chat telling me she just dropped a response video while our video is premiering. So
damn it.
Great timing once again on our parts. And so this is the follow-up, and we did this because it was highly requested by all of you. So
before we continue, I just want to shout out our sponsor, Aura, because right now is a really important time to be talking about cybersecurity.
Just this month, almost 3 billion records were stolen from national public data. That is extremely private information like social security numbers, addresses, birth dates, things that you don't want to end up in the wrong hands.
Apparently, members of the hacker group that got this information have released that information to the public for free. Now, I don't know about you, but it makes me extremely uncomfortable to think that in the future I might need to apply for credit or something like that and happen to find out that my information has been stolen and used by someone who isn't me and have that ruining my shot at something that I need or want.
So if you weren't taking precautions with your information on the internet before, now should be an excellent time to start. Fortunately for us, we're not worried about it because we use Aura.
Aura alerts us very quickly whenever they find our phone numbers, emails, social security numbers, or any other of that information out on the dark web. And they let us know quickly anytime that somebody is trying to use our information to access our accounts. They also give us up to $5 million in identity theft insurance in case it ever comes to the absolute worst case scenario and action really needs to be taken.
They also provide a bunch of other super helpful online features that are all contained nice and easily in one app for you to use. So you can go to our link down below, aura.com/Jordan and McKay, and you'll get 14 days free, which the nice thing about that is 14 days is plenty of time for Aura to see if any of your information is out there.
So we highly recommend that you go and get that 14-day free trial and you can keep yourself protected because this information is getting leaked constantly. Hackers are always out on the prowl. And the companies that collect your information really are not beholden to doing anything about it when it goes missing. So click on that link, get your 2 weeks free trial, and give yourself a little bit of peace of mind when it comes to your private data.
So thank you again to Aura for sponsoring this video.
Okay, let's jump into the meat and potatoes. We decided that we'll just play the response in its entirety for you guys, and then we can go ahead and break it down afterward. That way you can see it all continuously, and we don't have to keep stopping and starting.
A couple of weeks ago, we had a reporter come into our home to learn more about our family and business. We thought the interview went really well, very similar to the dozens of interviews we had done in recent memory. We were taken back, however, when we saw the printed article, which shocked us and shocked the world by being an attack on our family and my marriage, portraying me as oppressed, with my husband being the culprit. This couldn't be further from the truth. Nothing we said in the interview implied this conclusion, which leads me to believe the angle taken was predetermined. For Daniel and I, our priority in life is God and family. Everything else comes second. The greatest day of my life was when Daniel and I were married 13 years ago. Together we have built a business from scratch. We've brought 8 children into this world and have prioritized our marriage all along the way. We are co-parents, co-CEOs, co-diaper changers, kitchen cleaners, and decision makers. We are one, and I love him more today than I did 13 years ago. We have many dreams still to accomplish. We aren't done having babies. We are excited for our new farm store to open, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for the rest of it. But for now, I'm doing what I love most, being a mother, wife, a businesswoman, a farmer, a lover of Jesus, and making meals from scratch.
Let's run it back and we will kind of give our thoughts with of what we see as we go.
A couple of weeks ago, we had a reporter come into our home to learn more about our family and business. We thought the interview went really well, very similar to the dozens of interviews we had done in recent memory.
Humble brag.
I was going to say,
We were taken back, however, when we saw the printed article, which shocked us.
Taken aback, but
and shocked the world by being an attack on our family and my...
Okay. Also humble brag to be like, shocked the world. Okay. I think
she's not wrong because
it got lots of media attention.
And a lot of you international viewers can confirm and have confirmed in the comments of the last one that it was a wide-reaching story, right?
Uh-huh. But here's the thing. It didn't shock me at all because it affirmed everything that I thought I knew about this situation. So to say that everybody is shocked is too wide a generalization because I think some people were absolutely vindicated by everything that happened in this piece.
Yep.
Marriage, portraying me as oppressed, with my husband being the culprit.
What is the point of the B-roll here? I mean, it's giving Nara Smith is what it's trying to do, where, she's like doing the B-roll footage thing and it's like in her like magnificent house and with her expensive clothing and like what.
And also, her getting dressed without her garment?
Getting dressed without garments is an interesting...
She's going to the gym, so
it's true. But there are some Mormons who are weird about that.
Yeah.
But like, what are we trying to do here? Also, the oppressed thing.
Yeah.
I don't think you're oppressed by Daniel necessarily. I think you're oppressed by the high demand religion / cult that you belong to. And
as we made clear in our last episode, right?
That is what tradwife-ism, if you can call it an ism, does. It is by nature oppressive
and coercive, or not coercive, but covert. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing with these high demand religions and groups that we, we'll say it till the cows come home. People, you're not going to have a successful high demand group, or what a lot of people refer to as a cult, if they think that they belong to a cult. That's not how it works.
And I go back to what Carol Burke said in our original Ballerina Farm deep dive video, is we're essentially watching rich people, like filthy rich people, just perform labor. Like, this is all what Ballerina Farm is. It's a performance of labor, which erases, in my opinion, some of the reality, which is what we talked about in our original video, that comes with this. Like, we erase and that's why people get so triggered by it. Because it's like, either you think it's like the most beautiful thing in the world, or you feel shame, or you feel like you don't measure up, or you're a mom that doesn't know how you can do it all. And then we learn that she doesn't. It erases, like, in my opinion, the necessary grit that normalizes a human being, instead of pedestalizing her like she's this angelic person. Because I can't think of anything more damaging for an ego than what Hannah experiences in her comments on a daily basis. And I'm not even talking about the negative comments. I'm talking about the people who pedestalize her like she's fucking Jesus himself. Like, it is borderline. Some of these people are deranged. I am here for people who support, but like, reading all of that constantly can have just as much of a negative effect as reading negative comments about yourself. Because we're switching perception of reality almost now.
I can just think of the some of the, and I'm not going to say that people are overbearingly nice in our comments. I appreciate the kinds of stuff that we get, but even that can translate to some imposter syndrome on our side.
Totally.
And it's not anybody's fault, but that's just how it is. But then to see the way that people are talking about her and her comments, I can't even imagine.
But also to minimize this dialogue down to people think I'm oppressed. Like, is that really all you took from this? Because it's like...
It's giving PR.
It's giving PR, and it's like, this is exactly what I thought she would do. It's like, how do we frame this in a way... Like, it's the exact same rhetoric practically that Mormon women give anytime, like, you know, a really progressive person or like an anti-Mormon person comes to them
Such
and
a
is
buzz
like,
word.
what about feminism and stuff? And then they're like, I'm not oppressed. Everyone thinks I'm oppressed. And I've made these choices. These choices are mine. And we'll get back to that in a second. But to like reduce this dialogue down to that is just like oversimplifying and completely blasting past every critical comment that should have been weighed with some thought, you know?
Couldn't be further from the truth. Nothing we said in the interview implied this conclusion, which leads me to believe the angle taken was predetermined.
What is she making? That
Cue
looks disgusting. I'm
circus
sorry.
music playing in my head. What? I'm sorry, what did you just say? What did you just say? Because that's the funny thing about this article is like we spent so much time talking about how it's show, don't tell. Like we talked about how this journalist really illustrated without having to make any comments. Like everybody just pieced together exactly what was happening because all we're looking at is their behavior.
Yeah.
Like all we're looking at is their behavior. And so for her to say like, oh, we didn't give them any reason to think any of these things, like, but I think you did. That's just not the conclusion that you want them to come to. And sure, everything's up to interpretation and every single person can interpret things varying ways. But a husband who won't shut the fuck up and let his wife talk and interrupts every fucking thought she has, and a wife who does so much that she has to spend a week in bed at a time because she's so burned out and so overwhelmed and maybe struggling with other things that we don't know.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't paint the picture to me of, like, I chose this life and I love it. That doesn't paint that picture for me. Like, a husband who constantly interrupts and doesn't let me have my own thoughts and my constant deference to my husband's opinion over mine.
Yeah.
That just goes to show the lengths that Mormonism has gone to, like tradwifeism has gone to convince women that this is like normal, happy behavior. Like it always goes back to the idea of suffering porn. I do this, and even though like I convince myself that I love it or I like it, and
Yeah.
even if I don't, it's a sacrifice that I made for the greater good. And so there's no, like, at no opportunity, like, there will be no opportunity in Mormonism where you, like, think critically and go, maybe I don't like this dynamic. Because this is the dynamic that they were sold. This is the dynamic that's been pummeled into their heads since they were children. Like, of course, you're going to think that this is exactly the best. And you're going to think that you love it. But it's like somebody who's in a cult thinking there's no possibility that I could be happy outside of this structure. Like, it's us watching, like, every single one of you who's watched a cult documentary and listens to them be like, oh, the outsiders, they're terrible, or I'm the happiest I've ever been. And then you see them leave the cult and they're like, maybe I wasn't. Or maybe there's aspects of this that I'm okay with and aspects of this that I'm not now. Like, it's really hard to exist in the Mormon bubble with a lack of critical thinking, a lack of equal opportunity and prioritization of women and women's needs and desires and pleasure, and then be able to say, like, yes, with confidence, I chose this and I love it. It's like Mormonism hands you the thing and says, this is what you're going to do. This is what you're going to do. And then you say, I chose that. No, you didn't.
Yeah.
Mormonism set you up with the thing, and that's what you went with. Because for them, there are dire eternal consequences for not pursuing that path. This is the way. This is the way. So is it really a choice when it's put to you like that? Like, if you don't get married and you don't have a husband, you're not getting into the celestial kingdom. So to me, that's manipulation or coercion into a choice. Like, do some people consciously make the choice? Yes, obviously. People sign the marriage papers. They make the choice.
We sure did.
But you cannot tell me that it's a 1000% informed decision. Because the decisions that I made when I was in Mormonism were not informed decision, and I did not have informed consent for half of them. So that's the argument here. Nobody's commenting that she has no choices. She has the, like, illusion of choices within Mormonism. Which, don't get me wrong, are still choices, but are they informed choices is my point.
I mean, the illusion of choice is baked into the very fundamentals
Agency.
of Mormonism with agency. You just look at their narrative regarding the Garden of Eden and partaking of the fruit. There was an illusion of choice, and this is right in the scripture too. The illusion of the choice was that they could choose between eating and not eating the fruit, or choose between obeying and not obeying. But the implication of them not eating the fruit was that the human race was not ever going to exist. So, in a sense, they had the illusion that they could choose, but the entire plan was riding on the fact that they had to sin. They had to partake of the fruit. They had to disobey. And that is just the start of it, honestly.
Absolutely. And there is so much, like, if you've watched our previous videos on Ballerina Farm, there's so much rhetoric in Mormonism around, like, finding joy in the things that you're doing, finding joy in motherhood. Like, it's almost like, you know, I'm a therapist and I see people who are like, you know, I didn't realize that I could be, like, I could have feelings about these pseudo choices that I was given, other than, like, I just have to learn how to like it. Like, I have to learn how to be joyful. I have to learn how to love my mother-in-law. I have to... Like, these are things that I have to do. And so there's pseudo choice happening there. But also, because this is the only way, like, most Mormon women are going to learn to embrace it. Because what other choice do you feel like you have? If celestial kingdom and my family being together forever and me being in eternal heaven versus some kind of other level that won't be as good, like, if that's all riding on this choice for me, why wouldn't I learn to embrace it? Why wouldn't I learn to love what I'm doing and learn to enjoy the sacrifice that I'm making? And who's to say how she really feels? I'm still under the impression that she probably doesn't even share her real feelings on the internet. Because this is a persona.
Yeah.
This is a brand. Is there anything that she's going to do that's going to be out of line with a brand? If she's a smart person with a PR team, then no.
Yeah.
So I don't know that any of this is even authentic. Like, this reads to me in part like a PR statement. It's like a politician answering a question.
Yeah.
They don't actually answer the question. They give you some other bullshit that you didn't even ask about. Just repeating my talking points of farm to table, farm to table. Like, that's what I see.
Yeah, seriously.
'Cause I picture someone like in a rocking chair, just like farm to
and
table.
It feels as if, like, this was the first one that didn't come in with the intention of paying them lip service.
Pedestalizing them to
And
the
they
highest
didn't realize
honor.
that, and the true persona leaked out a little bit. So they have to kind of backpedal and say, that was not the intention. That is not the picture we would like to have painted. And I think it just kind of plays into this general distrust of
Media.
Mormons with media that is critical of their way of life. That as soon as, like, it's all cool, it's all fun and games until it's critical or it can't be really played off as a joke. And then it's like, we need to discredit this author. We need to discredit this media organization because they do not align with what we think.
And that, to me, speaks to the fact that the Ballerina Farm brand knows their audience. Because their right-wing, generally speaking, conservative audience sees this, and the comments, like, we read through some of the comments, it's like, oh, this is just like CNN. They flip everything upside down and nothing makes sense. So I just sit in front of Fox News all day, and that's how that's exactly, like, they knew that if they pivoted this way of, like, this is an attack on my family, that's conservative rhetoric.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's conservative vocabulary and language. And
it plays into culture war type stuff. It's the attack on the family. We are a nuclear family. We want people to, we're the heartland, we're the farmers of America. And exactly that kind of stuff.
And so their base, like, this is how I know where the majority of their base lies, because that's exactly what happened in all these comments. All these people just attack your family and the nuclear family, and you're doing right in God's eyes, and that's all that matters. Like, I mean, they knew how to do this perfectly. You
just look at the comments here on YouTube, and YouTube is, like, by far the least amount of traction that this has gotten. I mean, within the first 3 comments of the top ones, quoting a Bible verse.
The interview was like CNN, BBC style. They turned everything upside down. It doesn't deserve any of your worry and health.
And then they're even capturing non-religious people. I'm neither religious, a farmer, a mother, or a CEO. I watch because I respect your lifestyle and admire both your dedication to your family and your work ethic. Like,
it's interesting. So I just think it's interesting because even if their base isn't like over 50% conservative or right-leaning, like any PR person worth their salt, I feel like would see this opportunity and they're like, go fucking bonkers with this shit, because they eat this stuff up. Like, if you play
the establish is attacking
us, like our family, the nuclear family is under attack. Like, if you play that to the media, conservatives and boomers and like right-wing boomers are going to eat that shit up. And so really, you know, there's some people who have even theorized that this was like intentional and it was like a PR move to do like a bullshit article, which I don't think I necessarily agree with. But I think these two got too cocky, thinking that everybody who ever profiles them in anything is going to lift them up to Jesus himself. And then they didn't. But any good PR person is going to look at this and say, this ain't going to hurt you at all. You blast this shit to the high heavens and you're going to get more people. Like, I guarantee you this was, I mean, I'm sure this caught on to like Fox News and shit. So I'm sure the Fox audience is going to see this and be like, we want to support them. Like, it makes people like double down on like the American hard-earned family values. And so they're going to go and support her harder. They're going to go and buy shit from her store because they want her to know that they support her and her family. Like, if you think about it, truly, this was not a bad PR move for them.
No.
Not at all.
But they got lucky.
They got lucky.
Because they knew how to play it.
And I don't know what's happening here, other than this is 100% an ad because those are sold in her store, or at least were sold at one point. So that is another interesting point.
All these cups? The enameled cups?
Of this video is, again, we're talking about a brand here. I have a hard time, like, truly taking this as a, like, oh, this is my plea to people to understand. And, like, that's fine. But I have a harder time believing it when you're, like, I mean, this is to me, it's like making an impassioned plea about something while an ad rolls out on the bottom of your screen.
Seriously.
And it's like, she's doing the same thing. She's just not being as explicit about it. Like, you're not seeing a link for this, but she has sold these in her store and she has very similar ones in her store right now. And so it's like, that's really what we should be looking at this as. Like, we're literally watching an ad roll across the screen during her impassioned plea about how she's not oppressed.
Guys, the media is painting me to be someone I'm not.
It's
but
a brand.
Remember that I have outrageously priced beef in my online store that you should go check out.
And these really cool but expensive cups that can be yours for a small, medium-sized fee.
For Daniel and I, our priority in life is God and family. Everything else comes second. The greatest day of my life was when Daniel and I were married 13 years ago. Together, we have built a business from scratch.
And this, again, is where you lost me. Because it's so intentional. Like, remember, the whole thing that a lot of people fixated on was, like, she wanted the extra building that they had, or to build an extra building to be turned into the dance studio, right? So, like, she could work out and do dance and things. And, like, everybody latched onto that because they turned it into a schoolhouse and she ended up with nothing. Not that it's a problem because they're filthy fucking rich anyway. But then you do this, like, response video to the article and, like, what are we looking at? Like, we're looking at your home fucking gym where she could presumably dance in. Like, this is so intentional. Like, it reeks to me. There is nothing genuine about this between the ad and this. Like, nah.
We've brought 8 children into this world and have prioritized our marriage all along the way. We are co-parents, co-CEOs, co-diaper changers, kitchen cleaners, and decision makers.
Which is great, but again, it's hard for me to truly believe that when the reference point for how involved dads should be in Mormonism is like
bare minimum,
not great. Like, it's, and maybe Daniel's an exception to the rule. But here's what I will say. Like, I think part of being a co-facilitator in all of these things is you have to be aware of your partner and what they need. I see this in couples therapy all the time. Like, changing a few diapers and shit, or changing all the diapers is great. But if that's not what I need, then that's largely irrelevant. Because my issue is if I have to be in bed for a week at a time from exhaustion or depression or whatever other thing it could be, and like you're doing diapers, something's still not right.
Yeah.
Like something needs to be tweaked. Maybe I don't care if you change diapers. Maybe it's I need your help with this list of other things so you can prioritize your energy over there. Something to me, like if a person is coming to me and saying that, I'm like, there's something seriously off here and there are some changes that need to be made. Because it is not normal. It is not normal for somebody to have to do that.
Yeah.
In terms of like just managing and business and day-to-day life and being a mom. And yes, she takes on, I think, more than the average human being. But it's hard for me to believe that when the framework for men within Mormonism is pretty bad. So if Daniel does more than the average Mormon guy, great. I love that for him. Bare ass minimum, gold star, buddy. But clearly something's still not adding up. Like I'm still concerned about my partner if that's happening. You know, like you can tell me that you're co-CEOs and co-decision makers all day till the cows come home. But do Mormon people or people within cults really have a representation of what that is? Because again, we just come back to the idea of these things within Mormonism are so skewed compared to other people or secular people or even other religious people. Mm-hmm. And this is maybe a patriarchy and a misogyny issue kind of baked into it. Again, it comes back to this idea of like, you only know what you've seen. And so if you've seen and normalized men in Mormonism only showing up this much, interrupting you every second you get, being more focused on the farm than showing up for the birth of your child. If that's normalized to you, that doesn't make it okay. It's like it's still a choice, but again, it comes back to the idea of is it though? Like it's not an informed choice. It's a choice based on the information that I have. And it's unfortunate because most Mormon people don't, like just like we did, don't know that this isn't normal or okay, or maybe there's an alternative here that better meets our needs as a couple. Like they don't get that. So it's not necessarily their own fault, but it just goes back to the idea of like, I am choosing, I have a choice. I am like Mormon women are forced into this paradigm of being okay with doing everything and their husband's doing practically nothing and normalizing that that's just the way it is. And you should just kind of deal with it. And not only should you just deal with it, you should find a way to be happy dealing with it. Yeah.
Maybe what she needed was a damn trip to Greece.
I mean, maybe we vastly overcomplicate.
That's kind of what I figured because it seemed like that's what she wanted for her birthday. Like, I don't know.
Maybe listen to your wife and what she says.
But I guess an egg apron is great too.
I don't know. I don't have a lot of sympathy for them because they've got more money than most people will ever obtain in a lifetime. Yeah. And so like the things that I have people who are desperate to do, who are desperate for childcare or vacation or time together, doing those things, like you could pay someone a freaking $1 million to watch your farm for a week. You could hire every single person. You could hire out your job for a week. You could train somebody. Is it going to be more effort on your part in the beginning?
Of course.
Sure. And do people necessarily want to do that? Maybe not. But for the benefit of your marriage, would it really be that bad? Like just you can't be mad when you decide, like another aspect of this is the consequences of putting shit out on the internet. Like you can't tell me she didn't think twice about posting that video of the whole birthday fiasco with the grease thing. Like, tell me why she posted that. Like, it either reeks to me of like public humiliation for Daniel as like a possible side effect, but also like seeing like this is what cements it for me that it's okay because she doesn't see anything wrong with that. Like, she doesn't see, I mean, I think that is what affirms this for me the most is like she looks at that birthday situation, probably had some feelings about it, but if she thought it okay to post on the internet for her millions of followers to see, she clearly didn't think it was bad.
Yeah.
But like everybody else looks at that and goes,
happiness.
What the fuck? And like that to me is like the illustration of that. Normalizing that kind of behavior and thinking that that's okay. And that is like super happy marital expression. Because the other side of this is we don't know. Like 90% of the time, what they're experiencing in real life probably isn't going to be posted on the internet because, again, this is a brand. So no one truly knows. And I don't buy her narrative that they're just happy little bunnies frolicking off in the forest. Like, I don't buy it. That's just my personal opinion.
We are one, and I love him more today than I did 13 years ago. We have many dreams still to accomplish. We aren't done having...
Driving a vehicle with your baby in your arms and posting about it, that's crazy to me.
babies. We are excited for our new farm store to open, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for the rest of it. But for now, I'm doing what I love most, being a mother, wife, a businesswoman, a farmer, a lover of Jesus, and making meals from scratch.
It's PR. Like, it's all PR. Everything in that was come back full circle to I'm making meals from scratch. Like, that was the whole thing. Like, tell me what that has to do with anything.
That was definitely not.
Like, people on the internet are in a fucking tizzy over this, and you're over here like, eggs, meals from scratch.
I'm making meals
I'm
from
a mom.
scratch.
I'm a Jesus lover. Like, it reads rehearsed. It reads what maybe, I mean, if I had if I was in her shoes and this shit had blown up all the internet, I would have a PR person to advise me on how to handle this, especially if the narrative got away from what I wanted it to be. So I just don't see them handling this not being wise to how this could impact their brand, because this is a brand thing. Like, if you're losing favor with people, that's losing dollar signs. In my mind, like, they would have somebody who would advise them on how to handle this. And this is like the most influencer response I've ever seen to something like this. Like, somewhat directly addressed some of the claims, but completely blew past. Like, she's driving a car down the street and just blew past every other valid concern that people raised. And it's not in good faith at that point to me, when you're just willing to ignore all these other things that people have brought up as issues or concerns. And that's not to say that every influencer has to address every single thing that they get asked about, but it just reads very right-wingy, conservative response. I'm being attacked. I'm not oppressed. They're, it's like saying it without saying it.
Yeah.
You know? Okay, so McKay brought up a good point. Some other people had listened to the podcast that the Times put out that included some of the audio clips from, I'm assuming, what the journalist recorded while she was at Daniel and Hannah's house. And listening to some of those clips, I think people are missing the point again, because what Hannah says and what happens while she's there are like two entirely different things. Like, Hannah says, we're a partnership and we make decisions together. And then instead of saying how she feels about certain things, she's asking Daniel how he feels. And then Daniel's interrupting her every 3.5 seconds. And her kids are interrupting her every 3.5 seconds. So it's like, I think what the author here is trying to illustrate is, I don't think there was any twisting that went on here. I think it's not accurate to accuse the journalist of that. I don't think there was any twisting. I think she was pointing out the differences. Yeah. Between like almost the trained PR speak that she says about her and Daniel, and like the reality of what was happening and the context around them while she was there. She wanted to talk to Hannah. Like, she was there to talk to Hannah. And the kids are running around the whole time. And Daniel's interrupting the interview every 5 seconds. And Daniel couldn't take the kids out or go do something with the kids. He had to be part of it. I don't think the interviewer wanted to talk to him, and she kind of alluded to that in the interview. I'm here to talk to Hannah. I want to talk to Hannah. Daniel keeps coming in here and intervening every 5 seconds, like
going out and showing her the irrigation ditches.
That doesn't show me. That doesn't show me you have a partnership. That shows me that, like, oh, Daniel had an opportunity to take the kids out of the house for an hour, for 30 minutes, so that you could have this interview.
Just get some rapid fire questions in or something.
And instead, he's inserting himself in it, interrupting all the time. And the kids are all running about. Like, I have a child. I know how difficult it is to try to have an adult fucking conversation when you have a child involved. It's like damn near impossible. And so it's like, what part of that equates to partnership? And I think that's what the journalist is pointing out here, is there's a difference between what Hannah says and like the actuality of what was happening while she was there. And is that a reflection of how things are all the time? Who knows? But wouldn't you think you'd be on your best behavior with the journalist in the home?
Yeah. Well, and one of the clips I heard, the author even admits, she says, I don't think that Hannah is unhappy.
Or was like coerced into this. So
I don't know. That was one of the comments that we got a lot, is people are like, oh, well, you should just listen to the whole thing, which you can't even hear the whole audio thing. You can listen to that podcast. Mm-hmm. So far as I know, I don't think the whole audio recording from her entire visit is out there. And if you have listened to that, that's
my
crazy.
point still stands.
Yeah.
Because in the audio clips that we listened to, it was the same.
I don't think it's like a Trump all kind of thing. Another one of the comments that we got a whole bunch of times is, well, of course you think that this is great journalism because it confirms your bias. No, that's not the case. I'm sorry. I think that the author did a really great job of painting a picture using words that weren't hers. Mm-hmm. And I think that's awesome. I think objectively that's good writing. Even though it goes along with my narrative. Does it confirm my bias? No, because it is almost implying that some of these things have just come to pass out of nowhere. When my knowledge of the subject is that Mormonism has formed every little bit of these people's worldview and is actively shaping all of the choices that they make.
And this isn't like...
Yes.
It's annoying to me that people paint her like as malicious, because she's simply reporting exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
Like, people are mad that she's like painted this picture. Am I right? But did you want her to lie about what was happening? Like, did you want her to lie about what was going on in the room? Because it's like, okay, McKay and I have a journalist come to our house, and then people get mad because it's a like pointy piece. But like, anytime like McKay is talking into the microphone, I'm like, no.
No. Well, we do that anyway.
We're a team.
We do that anyway because we talk over each other all the time.
And everybody
That's
bitches about that too anyway.
Really a common complaint.
But like, would you want, like, it's hard to ignore something like that and not write like, Hannah was constantly interrupted, because she was.
Yes.
Like, what do you want her to say? Hannah stopped mid-thought because of noise occurring in the area that happened to come out of Daniel's mouth. Like, what do you want?
While he was speaking toward me.
Like, what do you want her to say in these instances? Like, Hannah was constantly interrupted by her children, because she was.
Yeah.
I want to talk to Hannah, but Daniel's driving me around the farm pointing out and mansplaining irrigation ditches, because he was. Like, what do you want her to say about those? Like, do you want her to point out every time Daniel shuts his mouth and listens to what Hannah has to say? Well, it doesn't happen that often, so it wouldn't be a very long article anyway. But like, that's what gets me, is people are like, she's intentionally like making something out of nothing. And I'm like, okay, that would be the case if Hannah and Daniel just sat there and didn't do anything, and neither of them interrupted each other, and the kids weren't involved, and Daniel didn't say anything because it was Hannah's interview. Like, then that would be the case, because she's like making up something that's not there. But like, she's not. Like, she just watched it unfold in front of her eyes and then wrote exactly what you saw. And then you guys got mad because of what the implications are.
Yeah.
Because I can't Mormon-splain interrupting, other than by deferring to patriarchy and misogyny and saying that I have to defer to my priesthood leader. Like, there's no good explanation for that.
Yeah. Like I said, yeah, sure, it confirms our bias. And I have no control of that, over that. But if you came to me with an article paying them lip service and also acknowledging that their entire worldview and all of their decisions leading up to now had been shaped by Mormonism, totally, I would say that also confirms my bias, while being the opposite point that I would like to have made.
And all I read when it comes to Ballerina Farm are fucking puff pieces. That's all
Seriously.
I read. And I can bitch about that, but I'm not going to completely discredit the journalism entirely. Sometimes I will, if I feel like it's really bonkers. And some of the time people are just like up her ass. But
like, literally today I read an article about one of the Moms for Liberty founders, how she's Mormon. She spoke at BYU. And the guy in the I couldn't take the article seriously because the guy was like, I don't even know what they're banning. I don't know what they're doing, what they're about. But here's my opinion. Come on.
But it's also...
if you're not in the trenches and you're trying to... Like, this woman flew... I don't know. I think she's based in the UK. Flew across the pond. Came all the way out to Utah to have this conversation. She's in the trenches. She's doing the work. It should at least give people pause. At the very least.
Well, I almost like it. It's almost become like a conservative talking point. Anything that you don't agree with, you have to discard entirely, which is dangerous rhetoric, quite frankly. But that is kind of what happens on the right. Like anything that doesn't come from a conservative news source or Fox News, they just discard as bullshit. And see, I don't do that.
Me either.
I'm willing to take in all sides and look at biased things and try to form my own opinion. To say that bias isn't a thing is just ridiculous because it's in everything. Like conservatives freak out about everything having an agenda. Everything does have an agenda. You have an agenda. I have an agenda. This video has an agenda. Yeah. That's just how media works. Like people are talking and they have opinions, and thus out of opinions become like thoughts and agendas and perceptions and input and insights. And that's how the world works. That's how speaking works. So to be like, everything has an agenda now.
Yes.
It always has. Like, I don't know if you're
way.
late to the party on that, but it always has. Everything has. Like in high school, were you not taught that everything, propaganda, media, like media literacy, not a thing anymore? Like that's just part of it.
You've lost the plot.
But you have to balance it instead of immediately discrediting. Like when I was doing my research for Ballerina Farm, you bet your ass I read all those articles. And there were some things that I didn't include because they were just compliments yoinking up Hannah's ass. But some of those things I did take because they were factual. Even if I don't like it, it's still factual. And that's how you are a well-rounded person, is that you take in the information even if you don't like it. Because just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's not true. Is there a possibility in an alternate reality that Hannah fucking loves every single bit of everything that she's doing? Sure. That possibility is out there.
It could be this reality.
Maybe honestly. It is. But I stand on business that this is a brand. And I don't buy anything she says is an actual authentic feeling because it's marketing and a brand and a moneymaker. And like appealing to people's emotions is a strategy for making money. And when you lean and you kind of pivot to the right and I see how your base responds, it tells me everything I need to know. It tells me everything I thought I knew. And so it's unfortunate. I don't want this woman to be unhappy. I hope she's truly happy with her choices. But I also know what it looks like to be in a cult and think that you're happy with your choices. Like people get mad with the whole feminism angle. And like feminism is part of the reason she has the choices that she has. Like people think that you're exempt from feminism if you're a conservative woman who stays home. Like, no, staying home is a choice. Feminists fought for your right to sit your ass home and to be a stay-at-home mom and to work hard as a stay-at-home mom. Like, feminists fought for that. That's still a choice that was given to you by feminists. So just because you chose, like, to stay at home instead of, like, you're doing home labor versus occupational outside labor doesn't mean that you're exempt from feminism. Like, feminism is the reason you can do what you do. And you can't call yourself a stay-at-home mom. Like, you're not. I don't buy that. You are working a full-time job and then some. And so that just doesn't appeal to me either.
The whole business just happens to be on your property.
And it just happens to be your face that is the entire brand and your perception and your social media and your videos and every single thing you do. That's not a stay-at-home mom, my friend. And there's nothing wrong with either of those choices, but to portray yourself as such when you're then like damn near dysfunctional from exhaustion is just a misrepresentation. Like, you know how I personally think she would be much more relatable to people if she highlighted that. If she got on stories one day and was like, the kids are driving me crazy
I can't
and
function.
I'm just so exhausted.
I'm exhausted.
Like, I'm so tired. Like, you know how relatable that is? Like, you know how many people she would gain by doing that? Like, she wouldn't even lose any current followers she has, but there's a reason why she doesn't do that. Because then it's like this pedestalized perfect image of her would shatter.
She's painted herself into a corner on that
She's painted herself into a corner. And I think it's a stupid choice, honestly, because I think you would be much more palatable to a lot of women if you did that. Because, like, this is all about expanding your brand and making more money in business, because that's entirely what the purpose of the brand is, right? You want to make more money, you appear more relatable. The influencers who brag about how much money they have and, you know, buy expensive shit and go on expensive trips and do all this shit, like, it's less relatable to the average person. But if you got on there and are like, damn, it's hard to be a mom sometimes, and I'm exhausted, and my kids drove me nuts, and I need a break, and my husband needs to come help me out, or my husband's getting on my nerves, like, That's relatable. That's brand relatability. But instead, she'd rather maintain this image of her as this like perfect mom, regardless of whether she feels like she's one or not. That's the image that her brand has portrayed. And so this article was a threat to that image.
Yeah. There's been a lot of kind of rhetoric surrounding the guys, why are we attacking her? This is what feminism is about, is her being able to be happy in her choice to be a stay-at-home mom. And like 100% agree. I don't think people should be up in the comments like, you need to leave him.
No, that's inappropriate.
You are trying to convince her that she's unhappy and things like that. I don't stand for that at all, because
it's not that deep.
She is afforded the opportunity to make that choice. However, to be like, there's no nuance in this conversation.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. There's plenty of nuance to be talking about. And I don't want to discount, the Mormon angle. We're driving hard on, which is kind of disappointing that the interviewer just kind of touched on that, because I think that is the biggest part of all of this.
But she touched on it very poignantly.
Yes.
In that they talk about it more in person than they do online. And that should tell you everything you need to know, including in this little piece where she doesn't talk about being Mormon. She talks about being a lover of Jesus.
Exactly.
Because Mormonism isn't relatable, folks. Christians don't like Mormons.
Not.
Evangelicals don't like Mormons. And so to blast that to every Tom, Dick, and Harry ain't going to get you the same response that Jesus lover, and people just assume she's Christian.
Yeah. Because as soon as she does that, her comments are going to fill with,
Mormons are Christians!
You could choose right now to believe in Jesus instead of... And they don't want that because it looks bad.
It looks bad. So that is... And to me, stand on business. You want to be super Mormon in person, but you're not going to say it online? Tell me why. Tell me why. Because it's a brand angle.
Within the last decade, Thomas Monson said, dare to be a Mormon, dare to make it known.
Yep. You're not doing a very good job. I bet Becky Squires doesn't like you.
Ooh. Don't get on Becky's bad side.
No, I'm sure she does. But it's just interesting to me because that, again, affirms me back to the point that this is all branding. Because if she didn't care about the brand, she would be out bold-faced Mormon shit all the time, like some of these other influencers are. They know that has an impact, and so they're not going to do it. And you can't give me any other reason why they wouldn't be public about it other than they know exactly what it'll do to their brand. And to me, that's chicken shit. Like, you want to stand on business as a Mormon influencer, and this is our beef with all of them, is like, go all the way. Like, show up, full-face Mormon shit. And she does it in other ways, like there was a video the other day where she was crossing her legs and people saw that she was wearing garments and, but it's different because you have to be pruned for that. Like, you have to be primed and know that that's what that is and that's what you're looking for. But it just comes across as ingenuine. If in person you're like Mormon, 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 but then when it comes to your online brand that gets broadcast to millions of people across the world, like, you'll reference it and you'll touch on it, but you're not out here boldly proclaiming it.
You'll conceal it.
Yeah.
You'll be a lover of Jesus. You won't
it's veiled. Because people don't like
sealed
Mormons.
in a temple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So interesting enough, anyway.
It all boils down to that we want influencers.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
Seriously. We want influencers to be real. If they want to make it a part of their brand, I think everybody deserves to know, because I know a lot of people would have issue, pedestalizing someone who is not a true follower of Jesus, even though they proclaim to be.
Yeah.
And I have no skin in that game. So however you want to believe, I completely understand that. And honestly, we just want people to realize that Mormonism is not just a church that you go to. Mm-hmm. It is the central part of your life, especially like if you baptize into it, it's one thing. But if you are Mormon from the time that you were born, you do not know anything else.
Yep.
And things that are contrary to, that criticize that central tenet of your life are the enemy. They are of the devil. They are the adversary, and they are working toward bringing down the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And people who have entered the temple, who have been married in the temple, who are sealed in the temple, have covenanted to fight against that and to only build up the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Mormon Church. So we just want people to be aware of that, to have that sort of nuance in the conversation surrounding Ballerina Farm.
There's much more nuance here than she's just making a choice.
Yeah. And it was a real choice to completely ignore kind of those types of conversations and just boiling it down to... And
to say they're not done having kids.
Yeah. And a lot of people did the same thing and just going for the throat and saying, you're unhappy. You need to leave him. You should have,
That never works either, by the way.
It's not a good approach. But she took the same approach and said, people are just attacking me because they say I'm unhappy. And that is not even a portion of the conversation. That is part of it, but that is not even
because she feels
the lion's
happy
share
in her Mormon reality because that is her responsibility
and
as a woman.
We want her to be happy, honestly, but there is a lot to the conversation that is being missed when you just say, they just don't like me to be happy, and they don't think I am.
To that. That is such a minimization of the actual issue at hand and the actual conversation.
Anyway, to wrap it up, thanks again to our sponsor, Aura. Hit up the link in the description. But if you liked what you saw here today, you'd like to see more, you can hit that subscribe button down below. Check it out. If you'd like to support us even further, right next to the subscribe button is the Become a Member button. You can become a member, join our Patreon. You get the same benefits either way. We just added an even lower tier, just the $1 Jack Mormon tier, because upcoming soon we're going to be doing a special watch party series. If you'd like some more information on that, you can join and find out. All of the tiers will get access to that. So yeah, join us if you would like to. We also have social media that you can check out. You can find us at Jordan and McKay on Instagram and TikTok. We post kind of like clips from here over on TikTok, and Jordan is a good Instagram user, posts on a story like daily if you'd like more up-to-the-minute updates regarding uploads and things like that.
And stuff from our personal life, if that's interesting to you.
And our cats. Today, we were unbothered by the cats. They must have fallen asleep somewhere else because they're not down here. But yeah, if you want to see our cats and stuff like that, definitely go over there and check it out. We also have an awesome Discord community, which when we do watch parties is where we hold those watch parties. You can find the link to that down in the description down below. But we do so much more over in that community, all kinds of topic of conversation, never Mormons, former Mormons, maybe even some Mormons undercover. I don't know. Probably not. But come and join the community. It's an awesome time over there, and we'd love to have you. But in the end, we love you. You're amazing. If you have an article written about you and it's a little jarring, maybe don't try to spin it to increase your business. But we will see you next time.